All right, so we got a lot going on with Cyberpunk today. Check it out right here. Big Cyberpunk and Edgerunner secret has been discovered. The showrunner of Edgerunner says someone finally found it. And yes, it looks like there's even more secrets to be discovered. We're going to talk about it today. Also, CD Projekt Red to give big updates on Cyberpunk and the Witcher franchises. We'll be learning more about what's next very soon because, yes, we're getting a strategy update. This is very big. We had a strategy update in 2021, and whenever they do this, it's very big news. Also, we have this right here. Cyberpunk is being played in quite the unexpected way. CD Projekt Red is pushing the game to its limits and also at the same time setting even more milestones. Plus, it says hints that Cyberpunk will go live action. CD Projekt's strategy update reveals a long-term strategy. A lot of people have missed this, and it looks like that, yes, it is very likely we would be getting a Cyberpunk live-action TV series down the road, much like we have with the Witcher franchise, which I think would be really, really cool. All right, let's jump into the first news story here. It says Cyberpunk is now one of the most played games on Steam Deck. Steam Deck users are spending a lot of time in Night City, so even on a portable device, they're enjoying Night City. And this is really amazing news because check it out right here. It goes on to say this. Valve just released its list of top Steam Deck games in September by total hours played. And it seems like Cyberpunk's moment extends to handheld gaming too. CD Projekt Red's 2020 sci-fi open world RPG found itself fourth on the list, along with some repeats from last month like Vampire Survivors, Elden Ring, and Stardew Valley. And if you look at the list, it's pretty impressive. And this comes from the official Steam Deck Twitter account, and you can see Cyberpunk sitting there nice and snug between these heavy hitters, even No Man's Sky and Skyrim Special Edition. So, in my opinion, Cyberpunk is going to have this staying power because of the modding community and really compete almost head-to-head with Skyrim in some ways. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, also, you guys heard about Google Stadia shutting down. That was my news video from yesterday. We have some interesting updates about that. It says, Cyberpunk, the announcement of the shutdown of Google Stadia has players panicking. CD Projekt called to the rescue. It goes on to say this right here. It says, Cyberpunk players worry about their saves. Will the most avid Cyberpunk players via Google Stadia have to say goodbye to their saves? This is at present their biggest fear following the announcement of the closure of the service. Very worried, they keep calling on the developers of the title CD Projekt Red in the hopes of getting good news. On the side of the players, between the reimbursement of the game and the preservation of their backups, the choice is very quickly made. And yeah, right now there is no specific answer as to what's going to happen with Google Stadia players and their save files for Cyberpunk 2077. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the current situation is pretty bad for anyone that was stuck on Stadia. So yeah, we'll see what happens, of course. Now, interestingly, a lot of you guys did comment on my video from yesterday and said, hey, Robbie, it's actually good news that Stadia is shut down because it means that more manpower at CD Projekt Red can focus up on next-gen consoles and PC. And that is actually true. So it's kind of bittersweet, and there's actually good news from bad news there. So that's actually a really, really good point from you guys. Now, we have this one right here. Let's talk about the Edgerunners secrets that have been recently discovered. Check it out right here. Netflix's autoplay means you likely missed a cool Cyberpunk Edgerunners secret. That's one Edgerunners reference down and a ton left to be discovered, according to showrunner Rafal Jacky. So let's get into this right now. The article goes on to say this. Yesterday, Rafal Jacky, the executive producer and showrunner for Cyberpunk Edgerunners, posted a tweet congratulating a Redditor from our Edgerunner subreddit for finding an Easter egg relating to the mysterious cybergirl Lucy and her fascination with the moon. While Trigger and going to space aren't strangers to one another, this time around its affinity for the cosmos runs deeper than just aesthetics. So let's get into the actual discovery. We have Rafal Jacky, the showrunner of Edgerunners, saying this. Someone finally found it, and if we scroll down here to the actual discovery, it says Lucy and the Moon tarot card. It goes on to say the following. I don't know if anyone has pointed this out, and I'm just late to the party, but at the ending of every Edgerunners episode, during the credits and when Let You Down is playing, and you see the brief clips of Lucy, there's a short segment at the end where you see Lucy and then it pans up to the moon. The perspective and the general art of the scene reminds me a great deal of the Moon Tarot card, and after reading the meaning of the moon, I personally think that this scene is a beautiful reference to the tarot card, which is meant to describe Lucy's life and personality. Take a look at that. That is so cool to see. Now, what does the tarot card actually go on to say? It says this: the moon reminds us that reality is not always what it seems at first glance. In a world of appearances and illusions, the best course is often charted by one's own intuition. The moon is also the card of dreams, desires, and of course, sleep, death's nightly ritual. I love that reference, and it's so fascinating to see this because it really does fit, of course, Lucy's personality, that she doesn't trust everything at face value at all, and she digs a little bit deeper with her own intuition. Now, goes on to say this right here: as far as the Moon Tarot is concerned, Jackie told Kotaku via email that Trigger was the one in charge of that reference. Kotaku reached out to CD Projekt Red's community manager, Satoru Homa, for comment. Homa told Kotaku the idea for the Moon Tarot reference came from the mind of Maya Yamayama, an animator who was hired by Trigger to produce the anime's ending cinematic after playing 2077. So you could see the love, you know? They really paid attention to what they were playing. I just love this so much. Furthermore, it says this: when asked if viewers should expect to find more hidden Easter eggs in the anime, Jackie told Kotaku that the show is still packed with a ton of references, but he's not going to spill the cyber beans anytime soon. I'd like to keep that to myself, as I take immense joy when someone connects the dot. Also, he goes on to say this as well. He says, Jackie did leave one breadcrumb behind in the form of this question: where does the police come from? So you internet sleuths can have at that one Godspeed. So I have a project for you all. Where did the police come from in Cyberpunk 2077? Please sound off in the comments below. I am so curious to see what you all have to say about this and what your take is about this one. All right, so we have got to talk about the new updates coming from CD Projekt Red. This is super exciting news. Check it out right here. This is on the CD Projekt Red Investor Relation Twitter. It goes on to say this: timeline of upcoming events associated with the publication of CD Projekt Group strategy update. And we have previously seen the strategy update in 2021. It's always very significant and followed up with like a 25 to 30 minute video. So they're going to be talking about a lot. Now, we're going to be getting this on October 4th. Here are the times. You don't really need to remember them, because I'm definitely going to be covering this for sure and have the breakdown for you all. So you do not need to worry about that whatsoever. And we're going to get a transcript and things like that. But yeah, previously in March 2021, they went over so much stuff, and it was basically a way of saying that, hey, we messed up Cyberpunk 2077 launch. We're going to get our act together, and we have a lot to do. But in this strategy update, there was a lot discussed and a lot missed. A lot of people did not notice, including stuff related to a live-action Cyberpunk series. We might be getting mobile games for Cyberpunk franchise as well. And then they are really changing up how they're developing. Check this out right here. It says CD Projekt Strategic Development Framework. They're going to be adding in online experiencing, enriching their IPs, gaming community built around GOG Galaxy. Then the franchise value creation through core gaming extensions and partnerships, as well as parallel AAA development for both, of course, The Witcher and Cyberpunk. That's actually already underway. They've confirmed that, and they're doing parallel development between, of course, the expansion right now and the next big Witcher game. That's going to change, of course, when the expansion releases, and they're going to rotate to parallel development between, of course, The Witcher and guess what? Most likely the next big Cyberpunk game. They did also mention that they're changing the way they communicate with us. They really kind of felt like they goofed up by overhyping their own game, Cyberpunk 2077. They announced it way too soon, and they confirmed they're not going to be doing that anymore. That marketing is going to be closer to actual release dates. In fact, it's going to be like 3 months before AAA game releases or DLC or something like that. They're not going to be like, oh, we're going to start advertising 8 years before something comes out. Now, of course, they did make that deal with Epic Games, which means they're going to grow their talent pool through Epic Games recruitment. It's going to be huge. That's going to be very, very significant. But this was what I found very, very fascinating right here. They're going to be building broader franchises based on their core. They're starting out, of course, with the single player game. They're going into next gen. Now, as you can see, The Witcher has obviously gone mobile with the Monster Hunter game, but Cyberpunk has yet to do this. This is what they classify as a long-term consideration for Cyberpunk. They want to eventually get a mobile game out for Cyberpunk 2077. They also are considering a live action TV series in that realm. So yeah, I would not be surprised if we did actually end up with a live action TV series eventually for Cyberpunk 2077. I got a question for you all though. Who would you pick as the main lead for Cyberpunk 2077 live action TV series? I myself like to go with someone more unknown. That's how I like it whenever they introduce someone that's like, oh, brand new and fresh. I think that's always cool. But that does not seem to be what CD Projekt Red likes to do because of Henry Cavill and what we have seen with The Witcher. So yeah, have at it. Let me know who you would cast as, like, say, V in a live action TV series. All right, they also have this right here called Our Transformation Journey. And it shows how they're moving from focusing on AAA RPG to genre blending with AAA RPG at the core. And then from single player only to single player with online experiences. We've seen some job listing in that regard where they want to hire for online for the next Witcher game and I believe the next Cyberpunk game. Now, we don't know the extent of this online experience. I really cherish single player open world games. You have no idea. I really don't want them to overdo it with online stuff at all. But some of you actually want to see like a GTA Online experience for Cyberpunk, which actually does sound kind of cool. Now, if we keep going here, we have this one right here that they're going to be starting up parallel IP development, agile delivery, and AAA broad IP ecosystem, mobile beyond gaming, and then, of course, team and quality focus. So, yeah, they don't want to do crunch on their own teams. That's one of the worst things that they could possibly do, of course. Now, they are now basically beyond transforming CD Projekt Red. They're in the middle of really getting into Epic Games and Unreal Engine 5. So that's what we're particularly going to be hearing about, what they're going to be doing on that platform. So hopefully we don't hear a lot about the transformation stuff. We actually hear about what they plan to build out with The Witcher, with Cyberpunk. We may even hear about what they're doing with Molasses Flood. Finally, if you're not familiar with Molasses Flood, that's a studio that CD Projekt actually purchased. They're actually working on a game in the existing IP. Either it's going to be Cyberpunk or The Witcher. I'm hoping it's Cyberpunk. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Could be co-op game, could be a brand new single player experience, but we will have to see what they say. Hopefully we get actual firm details about what Molasses Flood is up to. All right, so now it's time to go over your top comments from my most recent video. So let's get into this. My most recent video was this one right here. It says, I can't believe this news today. Sad face. Plus CD Projekt Red gives an amazing update. And the sad news is that, yes, those of you on Stadia are out of luck. You cannot play Cyberpunk after January, I think it's 2023, but they're actually shutting down Stadia. And a lot of you guys that were, caught up in this, that were stuck on Stadia, also want your save files to be able to be transferred to consoles or PC. Not too sure if that's going to happen, but I'll keep you guys updated. Now, the Frostbot goes on to say this. I really want to see more heist-style missions after Edgerunners. I really want to complete missions with a crew like we did with Jackie and T-Bug in the prologue. I hope, if not in Cyberpunk 2077, then in the sequel. I was going through some of my older gameplay, when I was really first getting into Cyberpunk. And I remember the heist mission where T-Bug is in your ear and Jackie's there. That's what I really loved. And when they killed off those characters, I was so bummed. And in my opinion, it kind of hurt the game. Of course, overall, I think the game really is a special experience, but I want more of that. I fully agree with you. More heist-centric missions will be very, very cool. Like a build-up, you know what I mean? Where you have to do stuff to really prepare for the actual heist, which they really did an amazing job with that earlier in the game. Now, Mataku says this: I would totally love a sequel and get to know more about the AIs. Hell yes. They could do so much. It's pretty much endless. I remember there was a rumor that we would be going to, like, what was it, South Korea or something like that? An AI-controlled city. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. That was such a big rumor, but I thought that sounded really cool. Then we have this one. Sorry if I mess up this name. Kashel Ravarna says this: I just want a more interactive city, sitting, dining, etc., but also more story choices and impactful consequences. Yes. I just saw someone mention Ghost in the Shell. Croy says this: after having seen the Ghost in the Shell weather mod, I really hope they add something similar, a more gloomy weather system to be turned on optionally on consoles, because quite frankly, I'm not a huge fan of the California sunshine aesthetics. Also, I'd love to see them add bar games like Billiard of Darts, etc., plus challenges. Plus, you know, more places like bars to actually go to, a la Yakuza, excuse me. But yeah, the world needs to be significantly more immersive. So essentially more minigame type experiences. But I love how you mentioned Ghost in the Shell. I just wish that somehow you would see like Ghost in the Shell characters in Cyberpunk 2077. I just think that would be really, really cool to see. But yeah, there it is. The latest happenings around Cyberpunk 2077. And hopefully we hear more about, yes, The Witcher 4, which is not going to be known as The Witcher 4. It's going to be like a whole new saga trilogy experience. So yeah, quite curious about what they have to say about that one as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk and open world gaming goodness, and I will see you all next time. Take care.